Sairam, let's start the study circle with 3 ohms. Om. Om. Dear Swami, we are so grateful to be able to meet here together in your presence today. While we are here together studying your word in your Bhagavatha Vahini, we ask that you open our ears and hearts to whatever it is you want us to learn. Please speak through each one of us and help us progress in our spiritual journey. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everyone. Just a little reminder to mute your cell phones if you have not done so already. Let's be respectful and open-minded, and let's ask the questions that arise. It will be best practice to leave our egos outside of this conversation, but that is a challenge that all of us go through at multiple occasions, time and again. So, just a little review from the last session. We listened to chapter 14. So we are on chapter 14, and then there are a few topics that I identified from that from the chapter, and we started with talking on faith in divine will. We discussed everything from Kripacharya's question on the timing of the renunciation from the Pandavas to doing action, which and the result of that action, whether it is right or wrong or what have you, that only a time can tell. And then we did talk about Pandavas having no desire for the kingdom. Their trust and faith in Krishna is what led them all throughout their lives and their journey. And then we did discuss the clarity for taking the right action every day that we all need, and discussed how faith increases that clarity, and how connection to God, when the unity of thought, word, and action would help us have that. We actually did not discuss in detail, but a nice point was put forward, that there are two types of people with okay, there are people with two types of faith that can fall into two buckets, basically, where one is Ishwara Arpada Buddhi and the other one being Prasada Buddhi, whereas you take what is happening in your life either as you put forward to God, or take it as prasada or his blessing on you, no matter what the circumstance. We did move on and listen to a video on detachment and hindrances, on detachment, whether it is practical, and then we kind of touched upon most of our hindrances to detachment, and how detachment should lead to compassion, and that they are both the same, they are not different from each other. There is also the awareness of attachment due to the roles we play in our lives every day. So both those are things that we did talk about. If there is anything anyone would like to add, this is a great time. Okay. All right. So we can move along. We are discussing chapter 14, and like I said, we had identified a few topics from the chapter. The chapter was basically revolving around coronation of Parikshit, where the Pandava brothers have made a decision to um, made a decision to leave the kingdom in the hands of Parikshit, who is a child. And since Krishna's passing, they have no will to live and continue their duty to their kingdom. So they decide to leave, and just the chapter just describes their the conversation that Parikshit and has with his grandparents, Yudhishthira and Arjuna mostly, and how everyone is sad but determined to leave when uh, leave the kingdom in the hands of Parikshit. So we did talk about faith in divine will. We talked about a little bit of detachment and renunciation. If we want to continue on that renunciation and detachment piece, we can go back and look at it. Today, I have a few questions, or rather discussion points for the other two topics, and a little discourse of Swami's on unity of thought, word, and action. So let me go down to. So when we talked about detachment, I think we did not touch upon the role of discernment, rather discrimination or discernment in detachment, and how that is important for one to be detached. Now, when we talk about discernment, we need to make sure, what are we talking about when we say what should you be discriminating towards, rather than, just discernment in general, because we are all filled with the worldly things, but that's not what discernment is meant for.
Sairam, um, see, the mind is composed of four parts. Of that, the buddhi is the one that has the ability, that basically is a reflection of the Atman, and it has the ability to decide whether you want to follow the desires, because the mind can follow the senses and project that will give you happiness. But because it's a reflection of the Atman, it knows that what is true, what is the truth, is going to give you the happiness. So the buddhi is the one that can decide whether you want to go into this, to follow the Atman, which is basically the detachment. And because it's a reflection, because it's the truth, and that is what we are, or whether you want to follow the senses, the mind is projecting as if that is true, whether you want to follow that. So that is the discrimination that buddhi is supposed to take, and buddhi will always tell you that this is what is good for you. Okay, for example, you have laddu and you have oats. So the mind will say, laddu, pick the laddu, that is going to be sweet. Your tongue is going to like it. You are going to like it. The buddhi will tell that's not good for you, for your health. Go and pick oats. Okay. So it's that this one that is, so the detachment to that laddu and picking the oats is what I think. Uh, I think that is the detachment that we need to.
That's a discrimination that we need to
Discrimination,
make.
discrimination.
We need to make, to get to. But in reality, right, I mean, that is, yes, as far as your example is absolutely right, but in reality, when we go through our daily life, right, because discernment, I think, has to be on shreyas versus prayas in a lot of ways. What is the right thing to do versus the easy thing to do. But doing the right thing, does that lead to detachment, is what I so Shreyas being the right thing but not the easy thing to do, would that lead to detachment? And if that is what we can, yeah. No, no, no.
So I think it is like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So I feel like it slowly starts with an putting us putting efforts, and then that automatically happening, right? So you all might have heard in the news about the Assad regime and how he was, right? That regime in Syria, right? See, right?
Syria.
So in that one person who was in the prison there and who was tortured a lot and let free, he came to US and everywhere, and he asked all the politicians here to help him and say that this is such a wrongdoing on Assad's part. We need to do that. Nobody heard him. And he still had his people out there in the prison. And he knew that if he went back there, he would not come back alive. But in spite of that, he went there, right? And then he got killed also in that process. So I was thinking about this discernment in detachment. So his need to do the right action was
So strong.
very, very strong. It that he didn't even have the fear. I guess he may have had the fear that he'll be killed, but his need to do the right action was so very powerful that that kind of, you know, the other things were kind of were lower in priority for him. So I think, as Venkat said, each and everything we have to think about what is Shreyas and what is Prayas. And then when we do that automatically, then it becomes, you know, a kind of a habit, right? And then it becomes a part of us. So I think that's what it is. I mean, we cannot say whether initially we have to put in effort. Swami says, you put in one effort, one step, I'll come 100 steps towards you, right? So first we have to put in efforts, and each time we have, as Solanki said, right, that you have only one free will, is to be godly or to be materialistic, right? So I think that's what it is.
Yes, Adam. Anyone else? Yeah. All right. Yeah, please go ahead. So the role of discernment in detachment. So we did now talk about what exactly is discernment, right? I just think going to from okay, even if we make the right choices, how does that lead to detachment? And detachment to what? Detachment to, in your case, it would be a desire for the laddu, right? Uh, that,
Anything materialistic. So when I say anything materialistic, anything that is worldly, okay, anything that is related, for example, in this world, the body, okay, body, mind, the relations, everything is all, the mind projects as if that is real, that's going to be permanent, that's the truth, real meaning truth, okay, that is never going to change. That is the thing. So but we know that it's going to change. The buddhi will keep telling you that this is not going to be permanent, this is going to change, this is not permanent. So you, if being attached to anything that is worldly, the buddhi will tell that that is not truth. So that the detachment from anything worldly is what we that is, in my opinion, that is detachment. That is the detachment that we need to have. For example, Pandavas, they, the moment they heard that Krishna has left his mortal coil, so then they were very clear that they need to just go, because for them they're this one, so they didn't get attached to this grandson who is just 12 years old, in spite of handing him the biggest responsibility of ruling the kingdom, and not even heeding to their gurus, and then deciding to go, because for them that is their that is the detachment. So they felt that Atman truth is what the Atman says. So that thing, nothing worldly is going to be truth.
right.
I think detachment from the world. That's how I see.
Very nicely put. Yeah, I think so too. That's. Anyone have anything to add?
I'm not sure responsibility, meaning responsibility towards your following your Atman, is needed. A detachment from the worldly things, anything that you do towards the worldly things that will encourage you to get involved. For example, we said, if Dharmaraja, that was the point we raised last session,
Yes.
if Dharmaraja had decided to heed to his guru's advice and then say, oh, okay, maybe I need to teach this kid, and be there for just a few more years, 4 more years, till he becomes 16-year-old, so that he becomes a young man, so that he can rule the kingdom. Then I will go. If he decided that, then that is an attachment. Because even that 4 years, because the mind will keep coming, mind will keep projecting that this is good, this is good. So anything worldly, the mind will, because that is the senses, right? You see, you feel, you hear, you, all that are worldly. So your mind is going to project that that is good for you, that is what you're supposed to do, that is what the mind will project. So the buddhi will tell you that that is not true. So if you waver, then it becomes, it prolongs to that extent. And then you have a probability, or you have a chance that you may not heed to the Atman. You may still be in the worldly things.
Can you take the mic? Sorry.
Because if you don't use the mic, others won't hear the live streaming.
On the
That's the
live
reason.
stream.
My question is, I mean, everything is okay. Pandavas did their duties, that's okay. But they didn't comply with the responsibilities they had at that time. They had to raise their son to the level that he can rule the kingdom. He was not ready yet. So I'm not convinced with that fact, in fact. That is a kind of a selfishness in my view. You're leaving everybody, going towards the God, but you're leaving the responsibility which God has levied on you, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think in that situation, in their era, there were not people who would exploit that situation. Meaning his guru, his ministers, the Brahmins, all the people in the.
Yeah, I am so sorry, but you're totally right. But we had talked about intent. Okay, the intent of their of the Pandavas is to be one with one with Krishna. So that with that intent, if you do anything, and I think it will work. Oh, why am I echoing? I feel I am echoing. So I think that intent is most important. Are you doing this for your benefit? I don't think they were doing this for their benefit. They were just, if the world does not have Krishna in it, they don't want to be in this world. That is their true intent from the heart. Again, everything I think last time we had talked about, yeah,
Yeah, so the calling was so loud for them that everything else was kind of silenced in that process.
Also, I think they firmly believe that to raise Parikshit, to be able to rule that kingdom, um, they need not be there. That is, I think they all felt that the others can really teach him and make him rule the kingdom. So they didn't feel that their presence is needed for Parikshit to be able to rule the kingdom. I think they had that from, maybe that they felt that's how they were also in the same situation. Pandu, I mean, their father had already gone. So they were able to rule the kingdom. I mean, even in spite of all that, I mean, rule meaning they were, I mean, expelled from the thing. But regardless, I think they had that faith. I think that nothing will go wrong for Parikshit. I think that's how they felt.
So I truly believe that that is why, just like Buddha, they are not in the wrong, and that's why. So with time, like we discussed last time tells you if the current action was right or wrong. With time, Parikshit only became someone that we are all discussing today. Not Pandavas, independent of the Pandavas, we talk about Parikshit, and an entire Bhagavatam has been written just by his one action. So it really reflects that the action that his grandparents did only led him more towards God, not in any other way. I that's my take on this. All right, Sairam. So we can move on. So we did talk about signposts to audit ourselves. We did talk about is there a way to define, detachment issues in our life? Are we, life is not black and white, and how can we evaluate? We talked about all the different roles we play. Is there anything anyone would like to add? Yes,
No, I
please.
think let's think about how detachment is going to help us in our day-to-day life. So how in our day-to-day life we have our work, we have our home, we have duties. Every minute or every second, if we analyze whether we are doing some actions due for attachment or detachment. If we keep analyzing, to
All the actions are for attachment only, Sairam. Worldly actions.
worldly actions, there is a difference, Sairam.
Yeah.
I think there is a
Yeah.
difference. It's not that all actions are worldly. All actions are for attachment. I mean, if that were the case, then Swami would say, just keep quiet. Don't do anything. That's not what he says. He says you have to continuously work. Not even one, because the mind is the one. Mind plays a bigger role than body. So the mind, to keep the mind occupied, you have to continuously do namasmarana or whatever activities that you may be interested in, not for the attachment, but for anything that is spiritual that will lead you to realizing the Atman that is within you. I think that is what I think we need to do. So, yeah.
That's very true, Sairam. Absolutely. Anyone else? Yeah, we can move on to the next one. And that is with regard to this chapter. This is what, so one of the things that I thought was leadership and dharma. And in that, so these are just a few pointers. How does Dharmaraja's decision to renounce the throne reflect the balance between personal detachment and duty of ensuring the continuity of dharma and leadership? What lessons can be drawn from Arjuna's encouragement of Parikshit, um, resilience and dharmic leadership? And how does Pandava's unwavering discipline during their final journey also embody the dharmic leadership and detachment? Right. So,
I think all these are related to leadership.
Right.
First of all, let's define who a
Leadership.
leader is.
Yes.
So I think that may be a good exercise.
So, Bhavani, you said that, actions we come to know later whether it is right action or wrong, right? Assume that here in this case, Parikshit was not up to that level. And Dharmaraja and their calling was so strong that they had to leave him and go. Then, are they then incurring any karmic thing in that process? Because you can always consider an action to be wrong. You just like he said, that they are shunning their duty. Are they shunning the duty at that time? Is that, but their calling is so strong that they had to go, right? Yeah.
I don't think they're shunning their duty at all. They totally had faith that they said that some they were led by the same gurus that they left him in the hands of. They say that in that chapter. They say we were taught and we led by dharma with the help of these same people who we are leaving him. You don't have to be worried about anything. They actually put Parikshit's hands into the hands of Kripacharya, who was their guru himself. Whereas he actually did not fight the war on their end, on their side, actually. I agree with
That there could be situations where, your calling is so loud, you just go through that. But because of that, there are some repercussions, right? Like Gandhiji, when his calling was so loud that he was unable to take care of his family. And so family didn't come up well in life in sense, had the father been a really actively involved in that family, right? So then is there a karmic action related to that? So basically, I'm trying to understand, will there be a karma? Because their calling is loud. They went through with what they thought was their calling. So will there be a karma attached to that if that happens?
See, the way I understand, the karma will happen when you do actions expecting some result. See, Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita. So any action that is performed without expecting any results, without expectation, you don't incur any karma. So if that is the case, in this case, Dharmaraja and Pandavas leaving this one there, they did not do that to expecting something. expecting a materialistic, even their expectations, there is a difference. If you're expecting to be one with the divine, or to realize for self-realization, I don't think that is wrong. So if you're expecting anything in materialistic, or for example, I'm this one, but I'm expecting this person to do this or whatever, or do you do some action expecting some results, I think that will lead to karma. This is what I think. I
Yeah.
think there may not be any karmic
No,
repercussions.
whether okay, so I don't know if they incurred any karmic, whatever. Even God has incurred karmic debt, so I don't know about that part. But what I can, as far as what Venkatji is saying, that is what I totally get. When they left, they did not want Parikshit to become the star of the universe. They had no such desire for Parikshit to rise to the level of, the king of kings or anything like that. All they wanted him to do is be a dharmic ruler. Let's follow dharma, and you have the right teachers to teach you dharma. That's And the adharmic is ended because Krishna has helped them end with Kurukshetra. They really did not foresee any adharmic you know situation for the child at that point. Again, I think all of this is very time bound because we are bound by time. I come back to the same thing. I think our action, again, we are all bound by time alone, and only time can tell what it is, you know. He is the only grandson. Turn it on.
Sorry. Is it green?
No. Yeah. If Pandavas understood like what is the detachment is all about. Okay, if I know that like if what is the ultimate happiness, at least like I will try to take my wife, my son with me. If
That is
that's
attachment.
attachment in the sense like see, does it mean that like okay, all five Pandavas who has fought the Kurukshetra, initially the thought is like not just to okay, I don't have any worldly desires or something like this. They fought for the kingdom, like in sense like they asked for five villages or like five things,
Mm.
and then like when they went into the Kurukshetra, they saw that like okay, all their grandparents, their uncles, and all this is, and then they had a question that like, wait, do I need to really fight the Kurukshetra or not?
Right.
But then Krishna has taught that Bhagavad Gita to them. Okay, this is not like okay, you're doing your duty, what you have supposed to do that. But later, did they realize that like okay, the whole intent is like I have to go for detachment, or like my whole intent is like okay, I've asked for something, but they didn't give it. I've fought for that. Okay, then coming to this, if Parikshit is really being left like this, and okay, we are going, okay, we know that like what is the ultimate path of the detachment. Oh, you just go and understand, then you come to this path, and later you also will understand the detachment. You also will go this. Is this the way of the whole intent of or the mm, what I say like
Okay. So let's break that down. You're saying when they fought the war, did they have any well, they did it for the dharma. They Because that's what Krishna said. They did not. They were okay with the 5 villages, but the villages that were given to them were not real villages. It was mostly barren land or something
it
like
doesn't
that,
matter.
right?
It doesn't matter. This is the attachment again. If you're
No, it's
asking like
not.
something.
It is adharmic. It is not the attachment. So I think we actually we don't have a correct definition of dharma. So if so Pandu brothers, first off, they should be ruling the kingdom. That was taken away from them. And they said, okay, that's fine. You want to rule, you can rule. Then the secondary thing comes, are they doing it in the right way? But they are not. They are being adharmic about it. So when it's a adharmic, the war is on dharma. The war was not about kingdom, horses, cows, what have you, right? It is all about dharma. And the difference here is in Ramayana, we don't question that. because it's a
No
very
question. Because when Sita has been sent to the forest, people questioned Ram also. Why did he send?
no. In Ramayana, we don't question the war, is what I'm talking. We'll talk about that. Yeah, we've already discussed that piece here. But my point is, dharma is for that time, at that place, and for that role. So it's not that, I don't think that when they fought the war, they did not fight it to gain the kingdom. They fought to kind of make it a point so that dharma wins. The dharma has to rule. Even now, when they left in the chapter itself, I mean, not in that chapter. I think in the next chapter they do say that once dharma is established, things will work the way they are supposed to work because dharma is established. Again, we cannot talk about it right now in the world that we are living in. We don't know what is dharma right now. That is a different
See,
question
that's what leads,
altogether.
like if Krishna is looking for having a fight and kill the adharma and leave only with dharma, then all this next yugas will not be there. So we should not have even Kali. Okay, right now we are in Kali. Okay, why do we need to have this thing? Okay, that has all been done. Like why again we are trying to reinvent that
That is a much
adharmas
more
and all
deeper
these things?
discussion. So you're saying end the world anyway? Why simply exist? No, that is not
I
the
don't
way
think so.
to.
See, the dissolution of the world is not there, or a universe is not there, or like I don't know what is the really dissolution of the universe. No, I don't know whether I'm confusing you.
Yeah,
Now,
you
like
are.
I'm putting like, okay, then
So okay. So coming back, you're saying if it is only dharma that they are concerned about, then they should not worry about. Then there should not they should not be giving it out. They should not be doing any of these things because dharma is established. So they'll go their merry way.
but for the route taken for Kurukshetra to kill these people and then establish dharma might not be needed. Like okay, if we all consider like Krishna is the god, like everyone
Yeah.
considered, like he would have properly told like okay, he knows like we are all the manifestation of what it is.
I'll tell you a little story. Because you said if he had told, you will listen.
Yeah, why didn't he tell?
He told, will you listen? He said, look at the bird that is eagle, that is pigeon. 10 people said no, only Arjuna said yes, you're right. It is a eagle, then it is a eagle. If you say it is a pigeon, it is a pigeon. If you say it's a lion, it's a lion.
Okay, that's where like Arjuna is blindfolded
No,
with the faith of the Krishna in him. That's where the Pandavas have the complete faith of Krishna. But if the other people doesn't have the faith in the sense, again Krishna has instilled the in unfaithfulness in the other people to believe that okay, oh this is not a bird or something like this, or this is an animal. So if that Krishna has instilled something, why
Krishna
were
doesn't instill. So here is what it is. The faith comes first. That's why we discussed divinity, like having faith in the divine will, right? If you don't have, you have that, the thought process, a man is endowed with that thought process. Do you want to have the faith or you don't want to have the faith? And most of us, faith is a very convenient path. The day that you are, and there is a story here that Swami has discussed, and we will come to that. The day that you are tired, Govinda Nama should be okay if you don't take a shower also. Okay? But the day that you suddenly become pious, you judge everyone else who has not showered. Right? So again, divine will is the divine, the faith in that divine will is a choice that we get to make. No other animal has it. And Manojji has pointed out many times. No one else has it. Every other animal, bird, plant, whatever, is very set in what their process is. Because of that, ability to have the will, man decided many other things other than following the divine will. So when you follow divine will, just by Krishna saying doesn't make any sense. Swami said million things. We are still discussing how many are practicing. The day we practice, that day we can come back with a question, with a process, but that process won't be for everyone, right? Even in past, right? Prahalada, right? When Narsimha Avtaram comes from the, and
Killer.
he's very angry. He wants to kill the world. That's how that Avtaram was. And looking at this bhakti, he melts. He says, I will give you anything you want. He said, oh, not just me, give everyone who is around me everything, give them all moksha. I want moksha, everyone here wants moksha. He says, no, let them decide what they want. He says, oh, they will all want moksha. They know it is good for them. They will all want moksha. So he says, okay, ask them to come. One by one it comes, oh, I want moksha, but after my daughter gets married. Yes, I want moksha, but after, So we always have a but. You have to be Prahlada first to decide, to get that moksha. We don't have the faith. So it doesn't matter what Krishna says, is my point here in all of this.
So
Sai
I
Ram.
would take Bhavaniji's point forward, exactly the same. So, as she mentioned, that human beings are the smartest species on the universe we know of, and they had been clever to invent this terminology of divine will. That's the point. They have found an escape route. We are, I feel so emotional about it. We have made a God of convenience. We have made the definition of divine will so that whenever we want, we can hide behind it. Whenever we want to do it, oh, it's my will. Whenever it happens good, oh, it was divine will. You did not invite me over the weekend, it was divine will. So, uh, you know, this is this is our brain, the funny organ. It will make you do these things. It will invent these things
The
for
intellect.
our
Yeah.
benefit, to prove the god of convenience. So, are the all Pandavas Gyanis? Did they get moksha? We are, I think we are giving too much credit to Pandavas. Too much credit to Pandavas. For something which they have lived their life. Arjuna married with 7 girls. Everyone, they did everything in the world. And in the end, when it was a time for death, anyways, they got the credit just because it happened immediately after Krishna left. They went to the forest and they got the credit that they got moksha. Do we know that? Did we know? Is it written anywhere? Did they get moksha? So that's the same point which Rajiji was trying to say. What good they have done? They just followed Krishna. That's ultimate, definitely. But at that time, Krishna was there physically. What about us? We
But
don't
Krishna being there physically is not the only thing. Just because Krishna comes, how many of us will follow?
exactly. So he Krishna left. So they okay. Baba is teaching us Vedanta. It's beyond Krishna and Rama and Shiva. We have to go to that Atman level, which Venkatji was mentioning. It is not that physical form, but they followed physical form. Okay, so if it is a true belief in Atman, they could have still stayed. There was no binding for them to leave. There was no binding for them to leave because there was a physical attachment also with the cousin brother called Krishna. So they left. Why do we have to give so much? I mean, they are nice people, very good, but we are giving too much of that. They got moksha. They did not get moksha. They just went to forest after living here for 100 years. They got emotional about it and they left. Why do we have to give so much of credit to them just because it happened immediately after Krishna left? So the point is, they did the right thing by giving the kingdom to Parikshit to do it because they cannot keep doing it for generations and generations. Sometime they have to leave anyways. So a person who is rich, he should be worried about his son and grandson, not for the 6th generation. That how much. So at the end, they had to leave anyways. So what exactly we are trying to draw so much of conclusion that they got gyanis or bhaktas or mokshas? Why that credit to Pandavas? That's what I think Rajiji was trying to
No,
say.
I think we have kind of digressed a little bit. So the thought here is, how do we have this detachment and follow the right action? right? That is the thing that we have to focus on. So for them, Krishna, Pandavas, that was the right action. So for me, I feel this is right action and that's also right action. I don't know which one is the right action. So that is the not knowing what is right action itself. I'm failing here, right here. I'm in the lowest step and I've failed there. What is right action? Many of the times I don't know. I think both of them. So for critical that we understand what is right. Some of them are really black and white and we understand, but many of them are all gray, shades of gray. So you don't know what is right. So first step is understanding what is right action. And how do we come to that right action, right? Is either you are thinking materialistic or you are thinking godly, right? When you're thinking about the ulterior, happiness of the society more than yourself, that is when it then becomes a offering to God, right? And when you do that, there are many things that come into play, and fear is one such thing, right? So I like Victor Kanu, he gave out all the money he had for that. He had no fear that he tomorrow he may not be having any money to even eat one square meal. He didn't care because that was the right action he felt. That was for the happiness of the society more than himself. So he had two options, society and himself. So for him, the society, teaching the kids, making them, because that was a place where the kids were all being, they grew up to become the kind of that, gangster group and all that stuff. So he went there, right there he started and he did that. So he could have feared for his life, not done that. He could have feared, what am I going to eat tomorrow? He didn't do that. He did it for the society to become better. That's what. So when you think about others and put yours, that means you are seeing the divinity. That is the first, that's the right action. Many of us fail right there itself because of our fear that things are not going to span. So that is the first action. So knowing that, looking for the happiness of that whole population in general more than yourself, I feel is what is being kind of told. So that is where we need to focus on.
Saira.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I do agree with what you're saying, and that should be the topic of discussion. I mean, we definitely digress, so that's why I had to answer that part. But that is so. What is exactly is discernment? Discernment in Hindi is called viveka.
Correct.
That is viveka. Viveka will come, but it's a Shuddha Buddhi, basically. Shuddha Buddhi will generate the Vivek. It's a spontaneous process. As Shobhaji mentioned last week, it is a spontaneous process. You keep cleansing your vessel, it will be clean and the reflection will come, and that will give you that sense of righteousness, what is right and what's wrong.
So
That's-
maybe it makes sense then to go to the next part of unity of thought, word, and action, and then come back to this, because then we can discuss that. Om, can you please read this? This is a discourse from Swami.
Perform only such actions that will please God, then only will our till as a human being become meaningful of all living beings. Human birth is the rarest. Do not waste such a precious and rare human birth. You will lose your humanness completely if you indulge in falsehood, injustice, and unrighteousness. Therefore, have good thoughts, good speech, and good vision. See good, do good, and be good. This is the inner meaning of human life. Some people may appear to be good and smiling, but their mind is filled with evil intentions. This is not good. Mane, those whose thoughts, words, and deeds are in perfect harmony are noble ones. Those who lack harmony of these are wicked. Wicked. One should have unity of thought, word, and deed. If you have unity, then you will attain purity, and purity will lead you to divinity. Therefore, have purity in order to attain divinity. Saying one thing and doing something else is not good. This is not unity at all. How can you have purity when you are devoid of unity? Therefore, if you want to have purity, you must have unity. Suppose somebody criticizes you, you should think that this all is for your good. Whatever others may do, think that it is all for your own good. Perform all actions with the aim of redeeming your life. See to it that you do not lose your humanness. You may lose any property, but do not lose the property of humanness. Lead your life always smiling and blissfully, but laughing unnecessarily it is also not good. Perform all actions with good intentions. When you perform good actions, your thoughts will also be good. Whenever your mind when your mind is filled with good thoughts, all your bad thoughts will disappear. Therefore, always develop only good thoughts. This will lead to good health. We should love everyone, love all, serve all. If we adhere to these principles, we will always have good health. It is necessary to be healthy. Health is not limited only to the physical body, it includes mental well being also. Never eat improper food, eat only food items that are good and sacred and have been sanctified by offering to God. Do not offer improper food to God. Offer only sacred and pure food to God in clean utensils. You get the result in accordance with the offering that you make. As are the actions, you will be the result. It is not possible to get good results by performing bad actions. Therefore, we should perform good actions and experience good fruits. Then only can we have good health. If we eat good food, we will have good thoughts. But people today say one thing and do something else. Once a renunciant
Renunciant.
One renunciant came to a house and begged for food. The housewife said to him, "My dear son, go to the river and have your bath. Meanwhile, I will prepare food for you." This renunciant was an epitome of laziness. He said to her, "Mother, for renunciants like us, reciting the name of Govinda is like having a bath." The intelligent housewife gave him a befitting reply, saying, "Reciting the name of Govind is like having food. Hence you may go. It is meaningless to say reciting the name of Govind is like having a bath. Just laziness and not have a bath."
Justified.
Just, when you say that reciting the name of Govinda is like having a bath, you should also accept that the recitation of his name amounts to having food. We should observe propriety in our life.
Yes, thank you, Saira. So I think this is very, yeah, this is what it is, at the end of the day. But let's start. I don't know if I have. Okay, let me just go to the first piece of this, right? Where um, he says, perform only such actions that will please God. Then only will your life as a human being become meaningful. Of all living beings, human birth is the rarest. Now, why is it that human birth is the rarest? Right?
See, yeah,
Exactly.
at Viveka, no one else has that kind of intellect.
Yeah.
Intellect, yeah.
So that intellect is what will help us to perform actions. The rest of the animals perform actions as is, as they are bound to be. Living, existing. He always says, "Khana, pina, sona, marna." That's so. The rest of the world will do that. We have to. We have that ability, that intellect to maneuver this life to be something more than just us. Now, the other word that I think that we should really talk about is humanness. What is, humanness, humanity? Those are words that I think we talk to preach versus practice. And what does that mean when we talk about unity of thought, words, and action? What is perfect harmony of those words? What does that mean? First, if we set that up, then we
Yeah.
can talk about other things. Yes, please
So
go ahead.
oneness is so tough to do.
Yeah.
We appreciate all the soldiers on the front line, but we don't want our son to go there.
Yes. Mhm.
We want seva in our party by everyone. Oh, everyone did such a nice seva. But you are so hesitant to send your son to any other's party to do the seva.
Yeah.
We are such a big hypocrites, myself.
Yeah.
We are hypocrites. That is the only hindrance between the unity between us and Almighty. That's why this sentence is the most important thing.
Correct.
We talk so much, but we don't follow it. We say it for others. It's so nice. Oh, he's such a nice person. He went there to help. But why can't we send my son to do that?
Yeah.
Why can't I do that?
Attachment. Yeah.
Selfishness. That is
There is,
selfishness.
we have a lot of other reasons. Attachment is one, yes.
Escape.
Yes, yes. So when you, so having that perfect harmony, how can we get to that? Should be the first way that can help us to have further discussion. Yes, please go ahead.
See, if you analyze as to why we do that, why do we do things? I mean, it's not like our heart doesn't prompt us. So it will always tell you that's not the right thing. Okay, it will always tell. It's not like unless you train it to keep quiet. Okay, you do so many things repeatedly, then it will keep reminding you, because that is what the heart or the atman, that's what it does. It cannot project. It will just say, hey, that's wrong, and then keep quiet. It will let you do whatever you want, but it will keep saying, hey, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's not right. It'll keep prompting you, but it will keep quiet. So you can easily, hey, shut up, and then keep doing it. So the first step is to listen to what the heart says. I think that is what it is. That's where most of us fail, because we just are caught in the mind. The mind will project, hey, that's the thing, that's the right thing to do. So we just blindly follow, even though the heart will say, hey, that's not right. So we ignore that heart, just follow the mind and
Right.
keep doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where we fail. So the thought part itself, we are not following. So the thought comes that it is wrong, so we don't follow it. So there is no unity of thought, word, and action.
Right.
So that is the first thing. Then words and actions, always that is the next projection of it.
Right.
That's what I think.
To add something here, yeah.
Yeah.
And this thought process which Venkatji is mentioning will only come when we listen to satsang, do good things, read all these books. As I mentioned in the previous classes, people who are very ignorant, they also don't suffer. People who are gyanis, they also don't suffer. It's us who suffer because we know little bit of it, but we cannot follow it because we try to suppress that sound. Very ignorant people might not be even getting those sounds. Might not be getting that voice.
Right.
That this is right. They will, for them, it is, they have kind of shut their minds completely to that kind of thought process or that kind of voice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only people like us who have to think. Otherwise, should be a so once we train it, it would become a spontaneous action also.
Right.
It will be spontaneously good. Spontaneously good. It's a matter of training our mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So performing all actions, right? So most of us have good intentions of our actions are with good intent. But again, alignment is another thing. You can have the good intention, but Swami has always referred to how your thought is. Right? Intent is there, but thought wise, you're thinking, oh, this person is looking down on me, or we are not getting the kind of recognition because we did XYZ and no one recognized us, for example. The intent is there to do good, but we have to train our minds to do that. So again, coming back to training, and so all of this, Swami says it should lead to purity. So what exactly is purity then? How is purity defined? What is purity? So Swami says, if you have unity, then you will attain purity. And if you attain purity, that will lead to divinity. Right? We have to understand what is purity. I know we don't have too much time, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's where we have just 5 minutes. Yeah.
Maybe I'll be little confusing everybody by, I think. Uh,
This is not confusing at all.
probably not having the humanness is the purity. Think deep.
What
Not
is
the reason why not having the humanness is the purity. Yeah, because you see, in my opinion,
yeah.
the God gave us intellect
Yes.
and all the attachments because we have ego,
Mm.
we have jealousy. These are the qualities of humans. Okay, the reason why we are not pure
Yeah.
is because we have these qualities. Whereas when compared to animals, there is no discussion of purity. They all are pure.
Right. They are pure.
So I mean, I want everyone to just think through.
Very controversial point.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah, I think you were not there last time when Soumyaji described her parrot. Uh,
No, I mean, I'm bringing the other side of
No,
it.
no,
But
no. What I'm thinking is you're equating humanness to bodily attachment, which even animals have. Animals have bodily attachment,
Mhm.
right? So, and they do have emotions, they have bodily attachments, and humans have.
no, maybe
So
I missed one
the
point. Let me complete my other,
Okay.
continues the whatever I'm stating there. So the reason why I brought up is to basically distinguish between us and the animals. That is my first point to say. Then the next point is how we can be pure is the reason why God gave us the intellect also is to, you see, we are the only ones who have both sides of it. Ultimately, we need to decide which path to take. Because only, you see, the way they projected is you will get the human life before the moksha. To
Right.
get to the human life is you have to do so many good things to get here.
Right.
So where your soul will be liberated. That's why this is the place or species which will go through both the sides of the things. So depend upon how which actions you take and which paths you take will decide whether you will be liberated or not. So
Yes.
yeah.
That. Okay. Yeah.
Mm.
Please. Yeah. Sairam.
Sairam, I don't think humanness is the presence of these senses. That is what I don't think that is what Swami means by humanness in this. Humanness, in my opinion, is going beyond that. So animals follow the senses. For example, they see or they are hungry, they go and hunt, they eat. So I think those are all, for example,
Can I cut you short for a minute? So 2 days back, I was reading Ramana Maharshi's saying. He says that the humanness is basically you, that soul had so much of kind of an urge to understand the divinity that you are born as a human. So he said that your life, don't think that it is a waste. Know that you have taken this life because your soul has that I had so much thirst in understanding the divinity. So pursue in that direction, right? So that's what. So humanness is the soul. I feel like it is the soul having that thirst to understand the divinity. That is what is humanness. And unfortunately, that thirst is there, but that is kind of covered by all the materialistic things that we see day to day.
Sairam. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Last then.
yeah,
We'll.
I think that, I mean, we can continue this
Yeah,
discussion next
yeah.
time. Okay.
All right. Let's end with Om and Three Shantis. Thank you all for your participation today. Om Shanta Shanta Shanti Sairam.
They said they were okay. One person coming down asked me, they are having.
Yeah.